All righty, welcome to the playground. My name is Eddie Fluellen. I'm your host, and today my guest is none other than the great trumpeter Skip Martin. And let me ask you before we go any farther, Skip. As far as trumpet, is that your first instrument? Because I have a list
Yes.
of stuff that you do here. I have vocals, songwriter, trumpet player, now author, speaker.
Yes. Yes.
And like I told you before when we first talked, I've always told you when we first met, man, I want to be like you when I grow up.
It's crazy, man. I'm just
And I actually have that as my hashtag. Busy is my therapy. But dude,
wow.
uh, you're the definition of busy.
I've been working at things, man. I just it's just in me and my DNA just to I get depressed when I'm not doing things. When I'm not, and I have a lot of things in my mind and ideas. God gifted me with certain ideas and
Mm-hmm.
points of views, and I'm really grateful that, to my family and the people who came before me that left a seed in my spirit and my soul. And I just
Gotcha.
kind of express it. And I've been blessed in this lifetime because we
Mm,
all, get a chance to have this lifetime
mm.
to express ourselves. And we are a product of our DNA and our lineage and the heritage of people that came before us.
Uh-huh.
So
I love
uh,
Skip. Tell him, brother. Tell him, please.
you know,
Uh-huh.
so
Uh-huh.
I'm very,
So
very fortunate, so
cool.
trumpet is
Cool.
my first instrument.
Okay.
It taught me how to sing.
Oh, how so?
Well, from the notes and
Mhm.
the vernacular to learn how to play the notes
Ah,
and uh and and then that kind of formed my vocal um education and vocabulary,
understood. Understood.
from the horn.
Oh, okay.
And so I guess let me take you on back. Let me give you this story.
Please, please.
All right. So uh I started
Everybody buckle your seatbelts now because we're going
it.
for a ride here.
I started at like 7 years of age, where
Oh.
I remember riding in a car in a Dodge Rambler with my
Hmm.
grandmother and grandfather.
Hmm.
And we were on our way somewhere, and Nat King Cole had passed away. And I heard, unforgettable, that's what you are. And when I heard that, it sounded like he was in the car with us. And I said to my grandmother, I said, Nana, that's what I'm going to do when I grow up. She said, what, baby? I said, I'm going to sing music and play music. And then when I die, people will feel like I'm in the car with them.
Nice. Nice.
And that's where it all really started for me
And did you say this was at 7 years old?
at 7 years of age.
It left that kind of impression on you at 7 years old.
Yes, yes. It sounded like Nat was in the car with us. It was just like, wow. Sounds like he's alive. And
Mm-hmm.
they were talking about him dying. And he passed
Mm.
away.
Oh, was that was the news then?
Yeah, that was what the news was. So and Nat
Oh.
King Cole had just died, and
Mm-hmm.
they were playing his music on the radio
Oh,
in a
okay.
tribute to Nat King Cole.
Right. Right.
When I heard him, it just sounded like he was there with us. And that's when I
Okay.
decided, I said, that's what I'm going to do. So the rest of my career in life was just kind of me just taking a journey, because I had
Mm-hmm.
already formed where my purpose was. I had identified and claimed
Mm-hmm.
what my purpose was.
Mm-hmm.
And so at 11, my mother and father, they split up, and I was kind of devastated in the aspect of I didn't have that male role model there with me, that
Mm-hmm.
influence with me. But my father had left he was an English professor,
Mm-hmm.
taught uh, English and wrote books, and his passion was playing music. He used to play in the staff, the faculty jazz band. He played alto,
You mind me
and he
asking?
had a lot of yeah. He had a lot of. Would you say it again?
Do you mind me asking what school? You said he was a
At that
professor.
at that time, he was teaching at a school called Modesto JC,
Oh, okay.
working on his doctorate's degree.
Okay.
And so he was on the faculty, and I would used to hear him playing in the faculty band, and they have these jazz festivals. And I thought it was kind of cool. He was in the band, but he was a jazz proficionado. He used to play and play records and left me stacks and stacks of records and all this kind of stuff. I was where I started listening to Cal Jader and all these different people. I'm listening to all this stuff back in the day. And it was just
for
great.
You youngsters that don't know, Cal Jader, one of the greats.
Yes, and he just knew about all of these different people, and white and black and different. It didn't matter who they were, and he was playing, listening to this, and I would listen to it, and take those records even after he was gone, and I would play them, and I would pick up my, trumpet that I was learning to play in school, and try to play along with the records,
right.
And cop some of these melodies and what have you.
Right.
Now, a significant thing happened at that time that I didn't identify till later in life. And that was, when kids are young, especially boys, we're inquisitive. We get new things to play with. We like to take them apart and put them back together and stuff. And I got my trumpet and I took it apart after I was playing. My mom is renting this trumpet for me, $11 a month.
Oh, a lot of money.
That was a lot of money for a single mom trying to pay for this. And, it was hard for her, but I was so excited about this trumpet thing. And I was being lazy in even picking a trumpet because they had at 11, they had this music orientation class where they would introduce us to all these different instruments. And they brought 3 instruments in. The first thing they brought in was a trombone. Trombone had a long slide and a big mouthpiece. And I was like, wow. I said, wow, look at the size of that mouthpiece. That mouthpiece is too big. I'd never be able to play that. And then the next thing they brought in was the saxophone, like my dad played. And it looked like a really shiny S. And it had buttons going all up and down it. I said, it looks cool, but look at all those buttons. I'll never be able to play that.
And you said your dad played sax?
Yes, and he played sax.
Okay, got you. Okay.
And he would never let me play his sax. No, boy, don't touch that. You don't break it,
Right.
And so he would never let me, touch it. And it just was too many buttons. So then they brought in the trumpet. And the trumpet had 3 buttons and a small mouthpiece. I said, that's it. I'll be able to learn that one overnight. And that's what made me choose the trumpet. And I think it was hard. I'm practicing on this thing, practicing, trying to play on it. And after I had taken it apart and put all the valves together, I took it apart, put all the valves back together, and I put the valves in wrong. And when I put the valves in wrong, it made it sound like a kazoo. And I'm like, this is hard. And I'm just playing on it, trying to learn.
Right.
It was hard.
Right.
And then one day the teacher heard me playing. And all the other kids, they're paw, 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 paw. And I'm sounded crazy. And then the teacher heard me playing on it one day, and he said, Skip, come here and bring me your trumpet. I said, okay. So I brought him a trumpet. He took the valves out and put them back in correctly. And when I started playing on it, it was like, paw, 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 paw. It was the biggest, widest sound. It all came so easy to me. And I had been developing my ear so I could make those notes because I had been listening to all these records. And I was trying to make little patterns and what have you, like what I was hearing in these records. And it was just something that was coming to me, that vocabulary was starting to come. And I said, oh my gosh. So I couldn't understand why the kids would take so long to play something to me seems so simple. The
Mm-hmm.
scales. And they're messing up. I'm like, don't you hear it? It goes like this. You don't hear that? You don't hear that? And they're looking at their music and they're playing their music. And I wasn't even looking at the music. I was just playing it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then that started to develop something was in my ear that I didn't identify till later. And I get to that. So I started playing it. And then I'm at the biggest sound in the class and I'm just playing it. And everything they were playing, as soon as I heard it, I could play it.
Mm-hmm.
I just started copying and mimicking, which helped me to develop a learning method called skip licks. And it's a way to teach people that are learning music, all instruments, that we learn everything we learn. We learn how to talk before we know how to read.
That's true.
We learn how to walk from mimicking. We learn how to run and walk from mimicking people that are doing that.
Right.
You know, and it's a natural ability from mimicking to learn and duplicate and mimic.
Mm-hmm.
So that is the premise on my learning method.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of the kids, and this is at every instrument. So I'll give them a line. I'll say, and then I'll give them another one, the same thing. And I'll give them 3 of those. And I'll have them listen to me. And then there are 8 total to make the whole circle. So I give them 3 and I get them to learn, mimic me. Drum, piano, flute, whatever instrument it is. And I do it slow. Now I'm giving them the vocabulary. It's more exciting than
No.
I'm giving them something slick as a vocabulary. Because that's what it really ends up being. Expressing yourself and improvising is expressing different phrases. And if you don't have talent, it's harder to come up with those creative phrases. So why not just create your vocabulary from somebody that already knows those different phrases and copy that, mimic that. And that's the premise of my learning method.
Got you. And again, that learning method is called?
Skip licks.
Skip licks. One word?
Skip licks, yes.
Got it. Love it. SKIPLICK or LIKS?
Yes.
Okay, LICK. Okay.
And so that's a method. And then I give them that vocabulary. Then once they've gotten that line, then I give them another line and I give them the 3 keys. And I have them to learn that. And they can go from now that they're putting those lines together, now they have a vocabulary.
If you don't mind, do that one more time, a little bit away from the mic, because you kind of went out, and I want to make sure that everybody gets this.
That may be one.
Got it.
Then the next one would be. The next one, and then. And now they can put those lines together. They can take one and put the next one to it, and the next one to it, and then pretty soon they're speaking all these lines that took me years to learn, from Blue Mitchell to Art Farmer to Miles Davis to all of these different players, what have you, from Cal Jader and things I'm learning. I'm putting all these licks together, and that is the vocabulary. Once they learn and go through 20 licks of what I'm giving them, they have a vocabulary to speak in all those different languages. Nice. And they're not reading a note on the paper.
Right.
Because I'm making them learn by the natural ability to mimic.
Got you.
Okay. They can learn to write the stuff later. but it's hard to learn the vocabulary, you know, and you're trying to read and you're trying to play the inflections and all those things that are not written in the notes and manuscript. The feeling's not written in the manuscript.
Right, exactly.
It may tell you fortissimo, it may tell you forzando, it may tell you slowly or fast or briskly, but it's not giving you the feel. So, you know, to learn how to walk and not telling you, okay, 1 foot over the other and this over the other, all that's too much thing to be thinking about. It's easier just to watch me and mimic me.
That makes sense.
So that's how I created this teaching method. Okay. And I go into teaching, you know, kids and people about music. Music is, to me, music is the sound of a soul singing. And that soul is not what you read on the paper. The soul, the heart of the person that comes out of your heart. The notes are just like a GPS. It just leads you down the road, but it can't drive the car.
See, I see everybody listening. I told you, I personally could listen to him talk all day long. I mean, seriously. I mean, just sit there and, you know, and as I told Skip before, you know, I'm going to have pencil and paper and I'm going to be taking notes. But you get so like drawn in by Skip, it's like, oh shoot, I forgot to write that down. I forgot to take notes. After 3, 4, 5 hours, oh my gosh, I forgot to take notes.
Oh, you know.
So speaking of skip licks, then is there a book then, or is it just like a method that you teach, like actually in the room?
I haven't published the book, but I have written out the licks. And so I wanted to get to this part of it.
Okay.
It took me years and years to realize that what I had was a gift, because I have a like an audio photographic memory. When I hear something, I could play it back from a very early age. So learning how to apply what I heard to what I saw on the paper was more difficult. I couldn't figure out the rhythms. So, you know, and then I was losing the feel of what I was trying to say by trying to figure out the rhythms and all of these things. And I never did learn how to read manuscript.
To this day?
To this day. It all comes to me photographically, where whatever I hear, I can play. Even if I'm going in a studio session to record something. I remember I was playing with a guy named Kenny Davis. He's a trumpet player out of Oberlin College. I was already with the Dazz band, a professional career and all of this stuff years later, in my 20s. And I told him I always felt a little bit insecure because I didn't know how to read the manuscript. And I thought, well, maybe that would help me expand some things. So I told him, I said, you know, Kenny, would you help me to play this, you know, learn this? He says, yeah, I'm gonna help you learn how to read. All right, come on in here. He brought out some books and everything. And he said, okay, he put the paper up on the stand. He said, okay, we're gonna play this. We're gonna try this. I want you to play these 3 lines. And I said, okay. He said, now play it. I said, he says, wow, that's crazy. He said, that's crazy, but that's not what was on the paper. He said, you got it like that? I said, oh. He said, okay, you know what, wait. I'm not even gonna try to teach you to read this. I'm just gonna give you some lines and things to work with. You focus on that and you do let the rest play. So he helped me identify something that I didn't even know I had. I thought everybody could do that. And that's the story of, that's my confession to not being able to read the music, the manuscript. And I remember at 15, before I got into my first band, I was going to a high school. It was called Luther Burbank High School in Sacramento, California. And I had just come back from playing a whole summer with a drum and bugle corps called the Santa Clara Vanguard. They were out of Cupertino, California. Santa Clara, California. We lived in Cupertino. And these kids would practice all year to go on to this tour to do competitions all summer. And it was mostly white kids. And I'm a Black kid in the suburbs. And it actually gave me the ability to have anonymity in a time of social stress and the creation and development of the civil rights movement. With Martin Luther King and all those things. It brought people together, just like the marches and Floyd Jones and all of this stuff. It was bringing Black, white, blue, green, everybody together. And it's basically the young people that always make those changes. Old people were set in our ways and we accept whatever it is. But the young people, they want to, well, no, we got to change that.
Change things, right, right.
So that's what's happening today, and it always happens. It's always going to be the young people. So I remember marching at 12, 15, 12, 11. We shall overcome, and all of those things, and listening to Martin. Where should that be? All those things the way Martin would, present it. There was two people in my life that influenced me in that way, just from their voices. One was Martin Luther King, and the other has been Obama. Now, what they have in common, it's like a song. If you talk all the time, you tell a story, you're talking, you're just doing this, and then so forth and so on, everyone tunes you out after a while. You don't need space. But space is more important than the notes, because space gives value to the next thing that you're going to say. So an example, Miles would say, ba-da, ba-da, and then he'd do ba-da, and then the band started playing, ding, ding, he'd do ba.
Right.
But as the band is playing, he'll do ba, 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 now that space makes you, what the hell he get ready to say next? Obama will do a speech. I want to tell you that if you put together these licks that I'm talking about, you'll achieve maximum results. And you just, oh man,
right.
He lays that last, and you're like, oh, yes.
Right.
Everybody's like, hallelujah.
True.
So
true.
That's where there's speaking and music. The type of music that resonates in people's memory is the speech and the music that plays the spaces as significantly as the notes.
And that's the thing, how people don't realize how much spaces are important. Spaces are just as important as the notes themselves, And, speaking of, like you're just saying, as far as Miles, me growing up, I was like, listen to the big bands and all that stuff. I got like this thing about horn players, just to, so I learned how to play trombone as a result, right? So listen to the big bands of like Count Basie and Duke Ellington and all them, right? The pianists, right? And I remember one time I noticed Count Basie, and I'm like watching him, and of course all these years I'm listening to him on record, and it doesn't occur to me until, he plays like the melody, but then the band's like, and then Count Basie, bing.
Right.
Bum, bum, chords and all that stuff. I'm like, wait a minute, because like you, like Miles, Miles is a legend, and Miles is Miles or whatever, and and of course Miles can, Miles can be,
he can do all that, right?
But he doesn't have to,
right?
Play one note, and pretty much that's the whole chapter right there.
Yes, I remember a statement that Miles made, because there was an interview on him. He was talking about, the guys were talking about Freddie Hubbard, who's a great technician, great, just like Arturo Sandoval. He's a great technician on trumpet, the guy from Cuba that plays trumpet, the baddest trumpet player living right now. And he can play he can do more acrobatics and what have you, more runs and faster than anybody ever in the world. So they were talking about Freddie. He can play all these things, all this stuff. And he said, Miles, so what do you think about Freddie? He said, well, Freddie's a good trumpet player. He just needs to learn how to play music. And it just hit me so powerfully. I'm like, wow. He says, because all that, what he's saying is all that stuff you can play is great. But if you can't play space, how you gonna play music? You know, so that's what that philosophy and that thought is part of what I tried to pass on in my trumpet playing. And then I took it to my vocals that I learned how to sing and the way I sing in my vocal style. So while we have this time here together, I have my office here set up where I can show you some things while we're doing this.
Please.
And as an example, because again, if I'm going to teach somebody, you have to be able to mimic it for them, you know, so that they can copy it without thinking, you know, because that's where the soul of music is, not in your control. It comes in your thinking about it. So, I mean, it comes in your just letting your soul do it without thinking. So as I play these different things from, I'm going to play you something here. This is a new album that I have released. I just released the single for this album. It's called Audacity of Miles. And I'm using both of the scenarios. I'm going to use my trumpet and I'm using my vocals, but it's the space that makes it interesting. This song is called Sexy and Sassy. Now listen to the space. Sexy and sassy, baby, you want to leave. So sexy and sassy, baby, you want to leave. Baby, you want to leave. Sexy and sassy.
Nice. Nice.
So
nice.
You see him playing the spaces.
And
And
you know, I
like
the way you put that. You're playing the spaces.
Yes.
You need to understand that. Playing spaces. You know, love
yes.
it. Love it.
Yes. That's the most, and that's in a conversation. You know, that's in love making. That's in eating. I mean, you can think that you can apply it to so many different things.
You're
if you play the space, it gives more value to the next thing that comes next. If everything just about, you know, as simple as talking, and as simple as a speech, or a song, or the process to making love.
Mhm.
Nobody loves anything that just goes wrong relentlessly with no space.
Without a rest. You're absolutely right.
You know, you got to have a space in there, and that
Right.
space gives value to the next action.
Right. Right. And
You
actually,
know.
anybody like speaking of speaking, anybody that talks like that, you know, they're not very good listeners. You know? Anybody that's just
Exactly.
like is not. They're not very good listeners. So,
Right.
in what you just said, as far as how important spacing is in speaking, and I mean, great examples: Martin Luther King, Obama. I mean, great examples. You know,
Yeah.
breathe.
Yeah. Breathe. Let
Yeah.
it. Let the song play.
And we talk about that in songwriting too. Let the song breathe. You know.
Yes.
So,
You know.
and again,
Song.
real quick, the name of the song you just played,
That song is called "Sexy and Sassy."
Sexy and Sassy, and that is from.
That's from my new album called Audacity of Miles.
Audacity of Miles. Got it.
And
for those that are listening, for those that are watching, you got it. You heard it here first.
yes. And then I'm not really you know, I can't play all those acrobatics and what have you, like Bird and all this and what have you.
Yeah. For those that are
I had to stick in my own
watching,
lane.
for those that are watching, that part he just said, yes, he can. Yes, he can. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. So
You know,
that's the modest Skip speaking. But you know, I've seen him do all that. So anyway,
I've identified that I'm really singing through my trumpet. That's what's going to help what I'm doing with my trumpet approach. It's because I'm not trying to outplay the next guy. I'm trying to sing it and try to outsing me on my horn. Now that's where you're going to have a problem. Because that's what I'm doing. I'm really singing. As a matter of fact, then I took songs like, I have another album that's coming out. I've already done the single on it. It's with a great piano player. His name is Tom Schumann. He's from the group called Spiral Gyra.
Yeah. Yep.
And he's like,
I had Tom. Tom was on a couple months back. You know, Tom was on the playground a couple months back, and man,
he's crazy.
What a guy! Yes,
and he's my brother, my right hand man. He and I, you know, I'll stay. Tom, we're gonna play. If we put this line like this, he'll finish the line for me. What I was saying. That's how tight we are.
In fact, I think I told you that when we had Tom on, you and he had just gone fishing the day before, and he told me about that on the show. So I'm like, Skip, really? Wow. And he talked about how much fun he had with you. He said that was great.
Yeah, you know, just had a moment, created you know, memory, what have you. So I try to sing through my trumpet, and then now I think about.
You try to sing to your trumpet, not with your
trumpet.
Oh, through your trumpet.
Through my trumpet.
Got it.
Yes, not singing to it.
Got it. I was like, how does he do that?
It becomes my voice.
Okay.
It is my voice.
Through your trumpet.
And that's a inanimate object. There's no life to it, but you breathe your soul into it and it'll sound like it's living.
Nice. Very nice.
You know,
so it really is an extension of you.
Yes. Yes, it's another part of my voice. It is my voice. So I think about some of the greatest people, and one of the greatest artists I ever witnessed in my lifetime was Michael Jackson. And Michael could sing his little butt off. The older he got, the more mature and evolved he became. He started using his voice more like an instrument. Just like James Brown would say, okay, what you playing over there, Maceo? What instrument is that? And Maceo would say, I'm playing a saxophone or a trombone. He says, no, that's a drum. Oh, everything's a drum. And if you want people to remember it, so that's why all the parts in everybody get up. Everybody gonna get it. That's the drum. Even Miles Davis was doing it, but didn't define it. Okay, and it's a drum. So Michael started going from being the two of us need look no more. He got back to the thing on, I want to tell you.
Right.
on the bass.
Mm-hmm.
Started singing
Right.
like that.
Right.
And became world famous from all of it. Billy Jean,
Mm-hmm.
okay. It's like a drum. And he was playing all those little accents like a drum would in between.
Right. Right.
I was like, wow.
Mm-hmm.
I hear you. I hear you. And I loved this boy. I loved him. I grew up, he was just a little younger than I was. And I was just so influenced by him.
Mm-hmm.
So Tom and I, you know, I started doing things. So I would start singing. Tom could play everything like crazy, like a maniac. He's a note king.
Mm-hmm.
And I was, so he's teaching me about playing notes, and I'm teaching him about playing space.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And we just tie in together. So,
real quick to the point as far as Michael Jackson. For those, if you those that are watching, if you get an opportunity, go on YouTube and look for Michael Jackson, just his voice, and you'll get a real good example of exactly what Skip is talking about as far as how he used his voice as a drum, as you say,
yes.
As a drum kit. Because I mean,
yes.
In some cases it's hidden in the song, but when you just hear like those vocal tracks and hear how he sang, it's amazing. It's really amazing.
So that's what I'm trying to do with singing through it. So I took something from my vibe, from how I approach things. I took one of his songs, then I sang it like this. Is that okay? Can you hear me, or is it distorted?
Yep, that's fine.
Space. Remember the time. Remember the time. Remember the time. Do you remember the time? I'll let Michael take it out. Take it, Mike.
I truly love your passion. I mean, man. I mean, there's no sign of it dying out, man. I love it. I love it, man.
Thank you.
Man, thank you. That was awesome.
Thank you. So
Man,
that's an example. I try to show examples on how to make that work and do those type of things. And when I'm, that's my approach, like basically with the vocals and the horn, and approaching things in that type of way.
Skip, you made that look so easy, and you're sitting down playing like that.
I'm just,
wow.
I'm just trying to, express it, and it shouldn't be something that's hard, because the soul is limitless in physical restraints. So it shouldn't be hard.
Got you.
Once you're doing it from the soul, it should be very, fluent, because that's how souls exist, from one physical body to the next.
There you go.
And that's
how do you stay so, dude? How do you stay so motivated? I mean, you're like, how do you stay so motivated, especially like during this whole pandemic thing? I mean, how do you keep it moving? How do you keep it,
Because I can't be something that I'm not.
Okay.
And stay motivated. That's just what I am.
Got you.
There is no choice. It's not a decision. The decision was accepting that's what I am. And just be that. And I made that decision when I was 7.
Got you. I love it, because I mean, you see like people, especially, I mean, in our age group or whatever, they're like, man, I'm tired. I've been doing it for so long. And you actually see him like pretty much like, okay, I'm done. And it's really too bad too, because it's like, man, there's so much music in you. I remember there's one point where I tried to walk away, and it's like the music kept calling back. I can't do that.
Yeah.
I can't do that.
Yeah.
So,
and if you're thinking about, well, I got to have it for money, I got to have it for this. No, you don't.
No.
Because I come from a foundation where it was instilled in me that God is great, and God can give you abundantly any and everything, more than you could hold, if you just embrace the fact that he exists. And everything comes from that. So my gifts came from God, and that's a true fact that I can hold on to. You may not be able to hold it in a cup of water, but you can hold on to it in your thoughts. And your thoughts are where your feelings are manifested.
Nice. Very good.
So, and your faith is what guides your thoughts. And it's all like a chain. So nice. Here's a way I would perform and sing this from a different perspective, and I'm using my voice, and I haven't warmed up or anything. I'm using my voice.
Yeah, I know that too.
As an instrument. The song is also on my new Audacity of Miles. This is called What's Really Going On. Is this clear to you? Is it distorted, or is it all right?
No, that's fine. Yep.
Okay. It's time you knew, lying days are through. So tell me what is really going on. Just listen now and don't make a sound. I'll tell you what is really going on. Take a walk through every part of town. I can see where you've been messing around. Love now has died with every lie. So tell me what is really going on. Take a walk through every part of town. I can see where you've been messing around, baby. Love now has died with every line. Won't you tell me what's really going on? So tell me what's really going on. So tell me what is really going on.
Nice. 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 Wow. Wow. And I like that what your trumpet was doing in those spaces.
Right. Right.
Excellent.
You know,
Excellent.
right.
So,
So
I shudder to ask, what's next? I mean, 'cause, dude, I mean, what you're doing is what's next. I mean, that's the answer, right? I mean,
this is what's next for me.
mhm.
This is my talking about what's coming out next, and I don't rest on my laurels.
I was just thank you. I was just gonna say, yep.
I said it earlier. I mean, true artistry is not about admiring the painting you did last week. True artistry is about coming up with the next one after you finish that one. That's what artistry is about.
Nice.
Anybody can have a moment and write that moment, but an artist continues to have moments. And what are we if we don't complete something? That's something I try to share with kids, what have you, because I'm writing another children's book. I wrote a children's book as well. I'll get into that.
I was going to ask you about that.
But I'm writing another children's book. It's called 1,000 Dreams. Okay. I already have the title and the premise. I just haven't sat down to write it because I'm doing other projects. And once I sit down, I focus. The most important thing. Well, this is the moral to 1,000 dreams. 1,000 dreams. 1,000 dreams meaning.
Real quick before we go there, the name of the previous children's book that you had.
Okay, so my previous children's book is called Morgan the Clydesdale Pony.
Okay.
And I'm in my office right here. I thought I had one sitting here, but I didn't bring it upstairs with me. Okay, so and I was playing at the Kentucky Derby, and I had this crazy idea. That's when God speaks to you. You have a crazy idea.
Right.
And I said, well, Lord, I'm just, I'm in here looking at this raining in Kentucky and playing for the Kentucky, and rain was just coming down in buckets.
Right.
And the Ohio River was out of its banks, and all of the buildings that were along the river that had 2 stories, we had the parking lot downstairs, the restaurant upstairs, all the parking lots were flooded. All the first floor things were flooded. And I'm thinking, wow, they're going to have this race. And I had been spending time in Ohio, and I used to go out because I'm an outdoorsman when I play in times and what have you. And I'm outdoors with these guys, and I'm shooting, and I'm doing this thing called a turkey shoot with the Amish people. The Amish people the Amish people have these big horses called Morgans
in Ohio.
Pull their carriages and pull their plows, and they're big muscular horses. And when we be out there hunting and what have you, they let their horses run free, and then the horses would come on over to like, I'll stomp you. What the hell are you doing in my yard?
Right.
And all you had to do was get up on the fence and stand up where you were taller than them, and their ears would go down and go, okay,
right. Right.
Here, these things are 2,000 pounds, gigantic. Right. All you have to do is stand up taller than them. They're like, okay, what? Where
exactly.
So I learned about these horses. They were just massive. And so that gave me the name for my book called Morgan. And I'm thinking, what if a Clydesdale, who's a workhorse, wanted to be in the Kentucky Derby? And I went back home, and I'm a creature of habit where if I have an idea, I will go and complete that idea before I move on to something else. I can't divide it up. I'm not, you know, I'm not multitasking like that. So I would complete it. So I came home and I stayed up for 3 days straight. Eddie, I was up for 3 days.
Wow.
Drinking coffee. At that time I was smoking. So I'm drinking coffee, smoking cigarettes, and eating Pop-Tarts.
Wow. Okay. You got to eat, right?
Yeah, you got to eat. So I'm staying up there doing that and wrote this story about a 2-month-old Clydesdale pony that was bought by the owner and the breeder of thoroughbreds, and he owned the Kentucky Derby racetrack. And so Morgan would get up in the morning and see those race horses practicing for the Kentucky Derby all year long. And nobody told him that he was going to be the lead horse in a Clydesdale team of a team of Clydesdales. It was a Firehouse Stagecoach team, and he was bought at 2 months old to be the lead horse in that Firehouse Stagecoach team of Clydesdales. But they didn't tell him that. He saw the horses running, and he thought he was a thoroughbred. And then the thoroughbreds used to shun him because they're all elite and everything, and they're haughty-taughty, and they have their long, sleek hooves and legs and narrow bodies, and they could run like the wind. And Morgan would talk like this because he's from Kentucky, and he's telling the story about himself.
Now, Skip, I don't want you to give away the book because I want people to get it. So, okay,
it's great. But at any rate, the story has to do with him telling the story about him waking up and watching all these horses run. And the thoroughbreds used to talk about me, and then my own Clydesdale buddies used to talk about me because they'd say, why don't I just accept what I am? But I got up every morning and gave my hay, and I would just run around my track. And I'd run and practice, and they'd be running, and I just run in my corral, pretending like I'm in the Kentucky Derby. Well, eventually he did get in the Kentucky Derby. And that's the story, that you don't have to, no matter what you are DNA'd, the way you look, whether you're black, white, blue, green, fat, skinny, pretty, or ugly, whatever it is that you are, you can be whatever you want to be if you believe it in your heart.
Thank you. Thank you.
And that's the premise and moral to this story. If you believe it in your heart, you can be whatever you can be, whatever you want to be. That's when you will see it, when you believe it.
You know what? Man, that was excellent. I need to wrap it up, and I wish I could wrap it up on that note. But you're about to talk about your new book, your new book that you're working on, or that you have coming out. So I do want you to talk about that book.
Well, I just wanted to share the fact that the new book that I will be sending out as well is called 1,000 Dreams.
Okay.
And the premise about that is one completed idea is more valuable than 1,000 dreams.
Hold on, writing. One completed idea is more valuable than 1,000 dreams. 1,000 dreams. I wish I could write faster, but hey.
And that's what that story, what have you, is about. And so look out for my 69th albums. This one is let's
go back to that. 69 projects this man has out now. 69.
Right.
Talk about busy. and of course your wall behind you does attest to just a small portion of how busy you are.
Oh, this whole room helps me to remember who I am, where I have been, what's been my purpose.
Nice.
What's been my motivations, accomplishments, ups, downs, relationships, identifying my gifts and places where I've given things that I'd forgotten about.
Very
Makes you understand your relevance, and this whole room.
I love it.
I just blanketed this whole room.
I love
things from my life and significant things from my family and my sons, and my daughters, and my granddaughters, and kids that I teach, and my honorary doctorate degree after not knowing how to read the music, but still ended up getting a doctorate's degree in music.
There you go.
And and all of this shares where I'm coming from. Because if you don't know who you are, how can you know where you're going?
There you go. There you go.
And don't sit on your laurels, because there are challenges. And well, I'm a creature that I have to have challenges.
Nice.
Okay, that's how I live. I have to have those challenges. And overcoming challenges, which are God-given, are challenges, but they're given it to us so that we learn how to overcome those, because it makes victory on the other end of that taste so sweet.
Skip Martin, the great Skip Martin. man. And I got to really mention, because we kind of just kind of smoothed over those. But Skip was, member of the Dazz band.
I sang lead vocals with the Dazz band. I sang lead vocals with
Kool
in the Gang, played lead trumpet and all of that. But you see how I went over those things, because
I love
my whole life is not about just those things.
Thank you. Thank you. I love it.
So I didn't have to, talk about that, but it is a fact.
I got to ask, I'm sorry, a couple more questions. As far as jazz, the genre, whether it be smooth jazz or whatever, how do you see that going? Obviously, it's not like what it was when we were coming up, right? But as far as the genre itself, where is it disappearing? Is it like just resting for a minute? I mean, where do you see jazz going right now?
Everything goes in cycles.
Okay.
30-year cycles. Right now, it's kind of on a resting thing. The original smooth jazz, who was the original smooth jazz artist? We both know who he was. The one that really horned and coined what smooth jazz is. Who was that?
You got,
Okay, I'm going to give it to you so we don't have to spend the time.
Please.
Grover Washington.
There you go. Yep. You're right.
Okay.
You're right.
Grover came and he started singing through that sax. Bum, 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 bum.
Yep.
Space.
Yep.
Yep. Space. Playing on these tracks that you could like groove to. Grover the Groover. That's why we used to call him that. And then everything else, the David Sanborns and Dave Koz, and all these different people after that, they were just taking what he had left as the path and commercialized.
And it was cool. It was really cool. We're like, wait a minute, this is cool. Different.
Yeah. But then now what happened was they made it play, they wore it out because they couldn't be creative enough to come up with more vibe on it. And so then they all started copying the same things, and then on every jazz station you would hear, everybody had the same pattern, the same drums, and down, every song. Then a saxophone, another saxophone player, till you couldn't tell one from another to another to another to another. And it just wore it out. They watered it down and didn't let it have edge anymore, and it wore it out. So that kind of died out, just like if you don't adapt, you will disappear, just like the mammoth elephants disappeared.
Right.
Because the environment changed, and if you don't change with it, you will become what? Extinct. So, and it'll be a long time before something like comes back around again. So there's going to have to be a thirst for it. And that means there's going to have to be a void for a while before it will come back and be introduced. So that being said, the way I'm approaching my trumpet with this audacity of Miles and the other things, there's been a void. And I'm hoping to come back to reignite the interest in that scenario.
There you go. Awesome. Great. And you definitely are. You definitely are. All right.
Keeping the foundation, where I can do that young people's music and then express it in a way that they could hear it and sing it and then pay attention to me, because now I'm playing this trumpet that they think I'm playing a saxophone with space. And making people go, wait, what did he just say? Okay, so that's what time it is. So I really, really thank you for this hour went by fast.
It did.
You know,
And like I said,
and I
like
got
I said
another
earlier,
whole
I
hour
could sit
of
there.
stuff I
I
could have
could,
talked to you about.
man, I could just listen to you. I could just sit in the corner with my note and with my pencil and paper and just write. When I remember to write, because I'm like so listening to you. So,
Oh, thank you
but
so
thank
much.
you.
And
Thank you.
so listen to my JTS album that's coming out with me
Yes.
and Tom Schumann. It's called JTS. The album will be out this summer because I have the Audacity of Miles that's coming out prior to that.
Which I
And
had the opportunity to listen to a couple cuts from that. Thank you, first of all, for letting me. And
yeah,
for those
so
that are listening, please get that one. I mean,
thank you.
the things that Skip does on this, it's nothing short of amazing. I mean, really, really.
Thank you. Thank you
So,
very much. And then I want you to get my Organic Neo Live. That's
that was another one.
That's another one that's coming out this year. And then my other book that is coming out, not the 1,000 Dreams. I have another book. I have it that I finished it, and it's called Fables of a Paid Piper.
Wow. Do you sleep?
Fables, yeah, but I'm dreaming while I'm sleeping. So
There you go.
sometimes I get up in the middle of the night because I'm like, oh, I got to put this down. You know,
having part of those 1,000 dreams.
Yeah. Yes. You know, and when I'm just trying to find a space where I can put it out in between all these other things because it's already been done. And I think I gave that. Did I give that to you? The Fables of a Paid Piper? It was a CD.
Yeah.
When we met the other
at NAMM. Yep.
Okay, the guy with the trumpet on it. Where I think it's that picture right there behind me. Okay. And that's short stories. It's a collection of short stories that have morals to them. Everything has a life story. Not so much morals, but life stories that everybody can use.
Right.
And you know, so look out for that, Fables of a Paid Piper.
For sure.
And just thank you very much. Make whatever goes on with you, the people that are listening, whatever is going on out there, there's always a silver lining. So speak on the silver lining in trials and tribulations, and you'll find valuable gems even in those situations, because that's how God set it up to be. The COVID virus being a hard thing to deal with for everybody was a God gift for me, because it made me focus on some golden things that I was not as focused on prior to. My family, my relationships, my gifts and music. At 63 years old, who comes out with 4 products in 1 year? I thank COVID for allowing me that stay-at-home silver lining to be this productive at this point in time of my life, when most people were like, I'm done, I'm gonna rest on my laurels.
Right. That's what I was talking about earlier. Right.
So here I am with 4 projects that I am determined to put them out. I don't care what it'll take me, because I know I'm going to be on to the next thing after this. So I might as well make this thing happen. I'm not trying to stretch it out for 3 years. I'm 63. I could be gone next week. So why don't I just go out and put all of this together and put it out, because I'm taking it back to that little boy. I'm ending up our whole thing with taking it back to when I was 7. And I just want to leave a trail in the sand of humanity that I was here.
Skip Martin, the great Skip Martin, once again, thank you so much for being on the playground where the players play, and where you just heard Skip pretty much put on a concert for us all. That was a treat. That was a treat.
Thank you
It
so
really
much.
was. Thank you, Skip. Really appreciate you doing it.
Thank you, Eddie. Thank you. Proud of you, brother.
Thank you. Thank you. Likewise. Thank you. And thanks for being my brother there. Thank you.
All right.
All right. Take care now.
Have a good one.